Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel if you're new here. My name is Liv and today we're going to be chatting all things end of the year. We are here to do the end of the year book tag. I cannot believe Thanksgiving is in less than 2 weeks. It just boggles my mind. I cannot believe I've been living in this house for over a year already. I feel like so much has happened this year, and this is probably one of the most busiest years I've ever had. So I feel like the time just absolutely flew by, and here we are again talking about all the books or some of the books that I have to read for the rest of the year, books that I've loved so far this year, and it's just crazy to me. I do not understand how we are here. But this is one of the very few book tags that I always do every single year, just because I feel like it keeps me in check and it kind of makes me realize my priorities for the rest of the year. Considering we have like a month and a half left, I feel like I have a lot to read, a lot I want to read, a lot I need to do. We've got some exciting Christmas things coming up, but let's just go ahead and get into the questions for this tag. The first question is, are there any books that you started this year that you still need to finish? And let me tell you, that's kind of a loaded question because I have DNF'd a few this year already that I definitely know I will not be coming back to. There's two specifically that I've DNF'd. I guess you could kind of consider these as soft DNFs because I feel like I might come back to them at some point in my life, but I just don't feel like right now is the time. The first one being The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I was actually really enjoying this. My sister was reading this around the same time I was, and she continued on to the second, but she said not a lot happens in the first book. I like how things are setting up. It kind of feels like Six of Crows because you have 6 different participants like in this competition. I liked the characters themselves. The world building was a little bit difficult to understand, but I really enjoyed the humor. There was a lot I liked about this book. I think I got only maybe 180 pages in. I decided to read this for a readathon, and I think that was one of the worst choices I could have made because honestly this is such dense writing. It's not bad writing. I do like what I've read so far. I just feel like it's very slow and it's not what I'm in the mood for right now. We've had a lot of November new releases that are distracting me. All of that to say, I might pick this up again in the new year. I might not, but you guys should definitely let me know if you think I should continue on, if I should actually finish this, because I'm still debating. I feel like I could live my life without finishing this and probably be okay. Another book that I constantly go back and forth with because I feel like there could be potential from this book, but from what I've heard, this is just a really sad, depressing book, and I don't think I'm ever gonna be back in the mood to pick it up, but that is Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I have heard so many people say they love this. It's their favorite of the year. It's the best book they've read in a really long time. And for me, that's hard for me to believe if it's not a fantasy because all of my favorite books are fantasy books or dystopian. And so I have a hard time thinking that this contemporary book is really going to top any other genre for me. I wanted to love it. The writing just wasn't for me, but these two are the ones I'm kind of considering as like soft DNFs for now, and I need someone to tell me whether I will like these and if I should continue or not. The next question is, do you have any autumnal books to transition into the end of the year? And for this question, I kind of took it as like my top priority books going into the winter, so I guess you could also consider these as like recommendations for yourself. But first of all, I have a couple cozy books that I must read before the end of the year because I feel like these all could be an easy 5 stars for me. The first one being Bookshops and Bonedust. If you guys have not read Legends and Lattes, it is the ultimate cozy fantasy read. It's just easy to fly through. It's chill, it's wholesome, it's heartwarming. You have the cutest characters. It's at a coffee shop. I mean, honestly, what more could you want this time of year? And this one apparently is the prequel to that. I have not picked it up yet, but I'm very excited to. So I feel like this is just going to fulfill those cozy vibes for me. I also have A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by T. Kingfisher, and the main reason I want to read this is because I started it last year. I got 50 pages in. I was really loving it, and it was perfect for the winter season. It was reading like a cozy middle grade fantasy where the sourdough bread starter had had like a personality. And in this bakery, this little girl finds a dead body, a cozy mystery, a fantasy. I mean, both of those is just an easy 5 stars for me. And I know a lot of people really loved this one last year, so I think this is going to be a perfect transitional book. The next book I want to talk about is another cozy fantasy. It's a new release, and honestly, I am shocked. I have not seen anyone read this, haven't heard anyone mention it in a video. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's a hidden gem. It's going to be a weird, quirky, kind of fun book, but that is the Hexologists, and this just sounds like it could be so much fun. The first book in a wildly inventive and mesmerizing new fantasy series wherein magical mysteries abound and only one team can solve them, the Hexologists. Isolde and Warren Wilby, the Hexologists, are quite accustomed to helping desperate clients with the bugbears of city life. Aided by hexes and a bag of charmed relics, the Wilbys are well acquainted with the weird, and they never shy away from a challenging case. But when they are approached by the royal secretary and told the king pleased to be baked into a cake, going so far as to wedge himself inside a lit oven, the Wilbys soon find themselves embroiled in a mystery that could very well see the nation turned on its head. Their effort to expose a royal secret buried under 40 years of lies brings them nose to nose with a violent anti-royalist gang, ghouls, alchemists who draw out their power from a hell-like dimension, and a bookish dragon who only occasionally eats people. Yeah, that's everything I want. A mystery, dragons, hello. This is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Even Mark Lawrence and Madeline Miller blurbed this, so hopefully that means good things. Another book that I've heard is perfect for this time of year is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I missed out on this one last year, but I even looked inside, and all the different diary entries start in October and I believe go through January, so I think that is going to be perfect. I feel like that's my cue and this is my time to finally pick this one up. And I also have another winter fantasy book that I did not even know existed until it got a cover redesign. That is Down Comes the Night by Allison Saft. This is an older title. I think it might have come out in like 2019 or so, but I love this cover. It's a wintry romantasy. What more could you want going into winter? Allison Saft's Down Comes the Night is a snow-drenched romantic fantasy that keeps you racing through the pages long into the night. He saw the darkness in her magic. She saw the magic in his darkness. Ren Sutherland's reckless use of magic has cost her everything. She's been dismissed from the Queen's Guard and separated from her best friend, the girl she loves. So when a letter arrives from a reclusive lord asking Ren to come to his estate to cure his servant of a mysterious illness, she seizes her chance to redeem herself. The mansion is crumbling, icy winds haunt the caved-in halls, and Ren's eccentric host forbids her from leaving her room after dark. Even the descriptions in the synopsis about an icy, kind of crumbling mansion, this sounds perfect. I'm so excited to get to this one. Last but not least, another one that I'm going to be reading going from fall into winter is Winter House by Ben Gutterson. I have had this book for 3 or 4 years now, probably 4, and it is just a cute, wintry, middle grade mystery. There's a magical library, and we follow our main character, who I believe goes to this orphanage, so I think there's other kids involved, but this just sounds like so much fun. If you even flip through the pages, you can actually solve like some of the riddles and puzzles with the main character, so I think this is just going to be a fun wintry time. The next question is there a new release you are still waiting for? And yes, there is. There is the one and only Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. Divine Rivals made my top 3 favorite books of the year. Spoiler alert, but I cannot handle the way this left off on a cliffhanger. I have never needed a second book more. I am so invested in this romance and these two characters. It's such an interesting story of mythology weaved into kind of a historical story. A lot goes on and a lot happens. I'm just gonna leave it up to you to read it for yourself, but this book was phenomenal. I cannot wait until December 26th to get my hands on this. Another book that's recently come to my attention is Olivia Atwater's new book that's actually coming out at the end of this month called The Witchwood Knot. Dive into The Witchwood Knot and enjoy a dark fairy tale set in a magical version of Victorian Victorian England. The fairies of Witchwood Manor have stolen its young lord. His governess intends to steal him back. Victorian governess Winifred Hall knows a con when she sees one. When her bratty young charge transforms overnight into a perfectly behaved block of wood, she soon realizes that the real boy has been abducted by the fair folk. Unfortunately, the Lord of Witchwood Manor is the only man in England who doesn't believe in fairies, which leaves Winnie in the enviable position of rescuing the young lord-to-be all by herself. Witchwood Manor is bigger than its inhabitants realize, however, and full of otherworldly dangers. As Winnie delves deeper into the other side of the house, she enlists the aid of its dark and dubious fairy butler, Mr. Quincy, who hides several awful secrets behind his charming smile. Winnie hopes to make her way to the center of the Witchwood knot through wit and cleverness, but when all of her unusual tricks fail, who will she dare to trust? This sounds like such a new, fresh take on a fae or folk kind of story, and I'm so excited for it. I feel like we're gonna have a very strong female character. I have not read Half a Soul yet, but I'm definitely hoping to at some point soon before maybe this one comes out. We will see, but yeah, this one just sounds so incredible. The next question is, what are the 3 top books that you want to read before the end of the year? And to that I say I have 3 very popular books. I don't care. I need to finish these before the year ends or I can't live with myself. And the first one is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I'm currently 100 pages in and loving every single second of this. It just came out this week, so of course it's taking me a little bit of time to get through this one because it's like 650 pages, but I absolutely have to know what happens in this world. Fourth Wing was one of the biggest cliffhangers I've ever had, and so I must know what happens in this world to Violet and all the other characters and the dragons. This is such a good world to just get lost in, and I am just itching to pick this back up and finally finish it. The next book I have is definitely one that's a pretty big backlist, but that's okay. Better late than never, as I like to say. That is Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. I started the Throne of Glass series the beginning of this year, and then I read Sky and Breath, and I finally felt like I had caught up a little bit, but then I realized, no, I still have all of Throne of Glass to read. So I'm currently on Heir of Fire. I haven't picked up one since possibly April or March, and I'm just itching to get back into the world of Sarah J. Maas and finally finish off this series. I would love to finish off the whole Throne of Glass series before Crescent City 3 comes out, just to try to motivate myself, but we'll see what happens with this. But yeah, I definitely need to continue on with this series before too much time passes and I forget what happens. And last but not least, the next book is one that I've already mentioned, but that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I know for a fact this is going to be a 5-star for me. I just have this inkling and I need to finally read this. I spent money on it last year when it first came out and I was so excited about it. I'm still so excited about it, but I've just been waiting for the perfect time to pick it up, and that time is right now. So if I don't get to this, I'm honestly going to be very sad about it. The next question is there a book that you might still read that could end up shocking you and could be a favorite of the year? And to that I say yes, absolutely. Ruthless Vows #1. There's no way that duology is not going to end up on my favorites of the year. I could very much fall in love with this one and it could be a favorite of the year, or even Bookshops and Bonedust. I love Travis Baldree's writing and the coziness of his stories, so I feel like there's definitely potential for a lot of these I'm talking about that could be 5 stars. It's honestly just a matter of time if I actually get the chance to read them, but for sure this one is probably going to end up as a favorite, as well as Ruthless Vows. And last but not least, my favorite question: have you started making reading plans for next year yet? And I would be lying if I said no. I've definitely thought about how many books I want to read and what book I want to be my first read of the year, and honestly I still don't know yet. It's got to be the perfect book to start off the year. It honestly might just end up being a Sarah J. Maas book, but I think I'm actually going to lower my Goodreads goal from 100 to 75, mainly because I know I'm definitely going to be getting more into fantasy in 2024. I feel like I kind of lost my love for fantasy along the way this year, and I'm really hoping to get back into that. But of course with fantasy it comes a lot more pages to read, so I think I'm going to be focused on just reading whatever I want at whatever pace and just focusing more on like those 5-star feeling books instead of just reading what everyone else is reading, which I know sounds cliche to say, but I don't really have a number goal other than like I could see myself definitely reading 75 because I easily read 100 books this year, but I can't predict what next year is gonna look like. I have already started a compiled list of 2024 new releases, and you guys, that list is 50 books long already. I kid you not, we are in for an amazing reading year next year as well. So that is something I'm always working on and updating, is a new release list. It really just helps me prioritize what I want to buy, maybe what I end up wanting to get from the library instead. And yeah, I've definitely been keeping an eye on those new releases for next year, so I kind of have in my mind what I'm going to prioritize reading. And I don't know if this is necessarily reading specific for next year, but I'm definitely going to be starting up my backlist takedown series here on my channel. I did do it for Colleen Hoover earlier this year or in the summer, and I loved it so much. I just felt like it was an easy breezy vlog, and I really just want to read a lot of backlist fantasy books, a lot of other backlist books that are sitting on my shelf that I have not read. So that's going to be another big goal of mine this year, is just to vlog and have fun and just read the books that I've been wanting to read for years. And speaking of reading vlogs in general, I really want to bring back weekly vlogs. I feel like I've tried so many times to do weekly vlogs and it just doesn't work out. I get too busy, I've got too much going on, but now that I work from home quite a bit, I think it's pretty doable to actually do weekly vlogs. We will see if that happens, and I feel like that kind of just keeps you guys more in the loop of what I'm currently reading because I'm so bad at doing reading wrap-ups. But regardless, I really miss just like casually vlogging, letting go of the perfectionism, and I kind of want to include more faith, more of my life, more of my personality into those vlogs, and so that's something I'm really looking forward to in the new year. Alright my friends, I think that is it for this end of the year tag. I always forget how short this tag is, but I really do enjoy doing this tag because like I said, it kind of reprioritizes in my brain like the books that I really want to finish by the end of the year, the books that I really need to finish by the end of the year, and it even helps me kind of think about plans going into next year, which I'm so excited about next year. I feel like we're just gonna do kind of like a complete refresh. I'm also just so excited to see what 2024 brings for all of us in our reading. I feel like for me, it's gonna be a lot of cozy fantasy. It's gonna be a lot of fantasy, especially because that's the mood I'm in going into the rest of the year. But I'm just very excited to finish out this year strong, hopefully read a few more 5-star reads in the next month and a half. But before you leave this video, definitely let me know, what is your #1 priority book to finish before the end of the year? Also, let me know if you're excited for Ruthless Vows. Also, let me know what your first read of the new year is going to be, because I am very curious what you guys have to say about those questions. But thank you so incredibly much for stopping by, supporting my channel, watching this video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.